Hello and welcome back to another episode in the Arithmetic and Fundamentals series. So today we're going to be covering episode 3, which is going to include 3 more numbers, 7, 8, and 9. 7, 8, and 9. And so these 3 numbers are going to cap off our single-digit numbers, which we will explain later on, probably whenever we start introducing double-digit numbers. And let's go ahead and talk about the different ways that we can see these numbers expressed by their symbols, different ways that people might write these numbers. So 7 really has 4 different ways that you will see it written. The way that I did up here, a little hook and a dash, and then no hook and a dash. And these are the most common ways that you will see 7 written. Now 8 really only has 2 different ways that you will see it written, like this, or you see some people like do bubbles. My bubble one looks atrocious because I never do it like that. But you will see people do it this way. And the big thing here is typically you want to have the lower loop be a little bit bigger than the upper loop. And now let's go ahead and move on to 9. I think there's really 3 different ways that you can write 9. We can see that you start here and you work your way around. You start at the bottom, or you start with a line and then you add your loop, or you can start from the bottom and go up. I know whenever I do this one, it can look a little sloppy, and sometimes you might get that confused with a closed 4. So I try to avoid doing this one, and I try also to avoid doing a closed 4, just because I want my writing to be as readable as possible for other people. Also, I typically do this one, but I know some people get confused with that in a 1, and so I just do like a straight dash for a 1 to avoid that confusion. But a lot of people will add a hook or a dash to it to avoid confusion as well. Okay, and let's go ahead and talk about the value of these numbers, how much they're worth. Again, let's go ahead and think of numbers as a group of objects. So this group here, we're going to say is 7. And how many items that we have in this object represents what number we have. Or in this case, we're going to represent those items with dots. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So here we see that we have 3 pairs and a single, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's how many items are in our number 7, is in our number 7. Now let's go ahead and look at 8. Eight has 4 pairs, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items within the group. And eventually we're going to go ahead and talk about something special where all the numbers that have an extra single in them are grouped one way, and all the ones that don't have an extra single in them are grouped a different way. And we're going to talk about that later on. And now let's go ahead and look at our last number here, 9. So here we have 4 pairs and a single. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this is one way to represent the value of all of these numbers. And in the other episodes, I went ahead and showed uh, that many items worth of like pencils, or I gave examples such as shoes, erasers, and so on. At this point, I think you should start having an understanding of what these items can represent. Again, these are all items and they can be whatever you choose for them to be. Now let's go ahead and count from 0 to 9. So we start with 0, which has no dots, right? It's an empty group. There's nothing in the group. So I can have 0 of anything I currently don't have. So for instance, I don't have any pennies in my hand, so I have 0 pennies. Here we have 1, or a single dot. Here we have our first pair, which represents 2. Here we have 3, which is a pair and a single. Here we have 4, which is 2 pairs. Here we have 5, which is 2 pairs and a single. Here we have 6, which is 3 pairs. Here we have 7, which is 3 pairs and a single. Here we have 8, which is 4 pairs. And then here we have 9, which is 4 pairs and a single. So we can notice something very interesting here. When we count, we're gaining another dot each time. So from 0 to 1, we gain another dot. From 1 to 2, we gain another dot. And then so on. Each time, we're going up another step, we're gaining another dot. And this is going to be very important when we get to a field of math, or not really a field, but an operator called addition. And this is going to help explain what we're doing here. And in those terms of addition, we're adding 1 each time, or gaining 1 each time. And that is how we're counting. Okay, now let's do something a little different also. Let's count to numbers starting at a number other than 0. So for instance, let's start at 2 and let's count to 5. So to change this 2 into a 5, we start with 2 dots and we would count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that's the difference between 2 and 5, and that's how you count from 2 to 5. Now let's do another one. For example, 4 to 7. So we start with 4, and then we go 5, 6, 7. Let's do another example here. So for instance, let's go from 6 to 9. Okay, so we're going to start with 6, and then we're going to count 6, 7, 8, 9. And we can keep doing this. Let's do one more and then we'll be done. So let's go ahead and start at 3 and go to 9. Okay, so we start with 3. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, those kind of got a little spread apart there. But that's going to conclude our single digit numbers and the arithmetic series. And next episode, we're going to start talking about shapes, which is very exciting stuff. And I hope you guys gained some intuition and some knowledge from this episode and can take that forward and help build a better understanding of what math is with this information. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great day and goodbye.